without question, one of the most important light aircraft in all of aviation history. But its wartime roles has carried no armament, though the crew members on board might have had their disposal. Rapidly, they were able to direct huge amounts of fire. In front of us now is the L-3. And this is another of those aircraft that became known as Grasshoppers. It was based on a long line of light civilian two-seaters produced by Aeronca in the 1930s. And the first examples of what were known to the US Army as the O-58, O for observation, were used during US Army manoeuvres in 1941, alongside Taylorcraft O-57s, which were a version of the Taylorcraft Model B, and Piper O-59s, which was a J3 Cub. Especially for that role of artillery spotter. And all three of those types were ordered in quantity, and they changed the designation from O for observation to L for liaison, so this became the L-3. More than 1,630 of these aircraft were built for the US Army, but their use on the front line would end up proving limited. A small number of them was shipped in error to the 5th Army in North Africa. One US Army pilot said the L-3 was the beginning of slow speeds of the Piper L-4, and that the Piper aircraft gave more warning of a stall, whereas the Aeronca, as you put it, just falls off, which wouldn't have been ideal in the sort of low and slow, tight turning environments in which the L-4s, the Cubs, so often found themselves. This one dates from 1942 bomber groups took up residence at British bases from 1942 onwards. A few Tigers were supplied to 8 Fighter Command of the Army Air Forces as liaison and communications aircraft, station pack aeroplanes. The best way in those days, certainly one of the most rapid, of communicating between different bases, headquarters locations and the like, would have been by air. Huge aeroplanes like these. So this Tiger, which served with the French Air Force briefly after the war, and then spent a long time in a dismantled state before it was restored and flew again in 2022, was painted up as the station pack aircraft of the US Army Air Force's 353rd Fighter Group stationed at Gox Hill in Lincolnshire during 1943. With many Tigers flying in around the bend from the left are the 2 Piper L-4s.
Oh yes, look at that.
Now this is really the quintessential American liaison aircraft of the war. They were used in every theatre. They were used not just for artillery spotting, but also for medical evacuation for liaison, light transport. Once again, as I said, lots of the fighter and bomber groups had Cubs on strength for communications. They flew from platforms mounted in the trees in the jungles of the Pacific. And as the Allies advanced through Europe, Cubs like these operated from fields and roads close to the front line. In fact, the first American aircraft to go ashore in Normandy after the day was a Piper L-4 The US Army Cubs were attached directly to field artillery units in theatre. A landing craft tank that was on its way to Omaha Beach. The LCT found itself hitting the ground, and one of the Cubs on board was lost in the water. The second was pulled ashore by many willing hands. Only to be lost to enemy artillery fire. But its pilot, Lieutenant Thomas Turner, and his observer sheltered under the steel ramp of an abandoned landing craft and remained unhurt. Turner made his way back to England, picked up another Cub from Southampton docks, and on D-Day +11, the 17th of June, 1944, he landed that replacement Cub above Omaha Beach. By the end of June 1944, 261 American liaison aircraft, most of them L-4s like these, although there were some Stinson L-5 Sentinels, were operational with the First Army in France. Initially, to commemorate.